Hello, I'd like to explain some very confusing expressions with the word time in them. So these are the four: all the time, every time, each time, and whenever. So let's begin with all the time. It does not mean continuously, nor continually, and it also does not mean without a break. It does mean frequently or very frequently. Or another meaning that you can think about is the meaning of often. Here's an example. She talks all the time with her boyfriend. So this does not mean 24 hours per day or 7 days a week. It just means frequently. So if you think that it is frequent to talk to each other 2 or 3 times each day for a short period of time, then that could be a reason to use the expression all the time. It is not correct to use all the time in this way. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius all the time. This is not correct because water boils at 100 degrees Celsius is a scientific fact. It doesn't happen often, it happens always. You can add expression when you use this word to show emotion, usually negative. So if I say, John is late to class all the time, then I'm emphasizing it negatively. If I want to say something positively, like she is happy all the time, it sounds a happy voice. It sounds a little strange. It's usually used in a negative feeling, in a negative way. Let's change to the expression every time. Every time should appear as two words, so putting it together, every time, is not correct. Every time means that there is one situation or a case that a person tries something and then another thing happens. So there's usually two events that you can think of when you listen to it. The other meaning of this is that you are thinking of a whole group of repetitions in your imagination. It could be 4 or more repetitions of these events or these cases. So let's look at some examples. She called her boyfriend every time he arrived late. So this has the feeling that he had a bad habit of arriving late. It happened 4 times or more, and maybe hundreds of times. There's not a focus on each of the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 20 times. The focus is on the overall effect of the event repeating. It's incorrect to use every time without two events. Every time we take the bus, what? There's nothing else there. So we need two things to happen to be correct. Okay, you can add the word single for emphasis and to show even more frustration. John is late to class every single time. Okay, in this case, class is one event and arriving late is another event. If you want to have really clear examples of two events, you would say something like this. John is late to class every single time Charles is the teacher. So there's a strong emphasis or frustration in this case. Moving on to each time. Each time also is two words. Each time also is showing one case or situation is happening because or at the same time as another case or situation. The focus of each time is not the whole group, and it's not between 4 and 200 or 1000. The meaning of each time is focusing on 2 or 3 repetitions of the cases or the situations. So let's look at some examples. She called her boyfriend each time he arrived late. So now we're not thinking about his habit. Now we're thinking of just 2 or 3 times. And something of those 2 or 3 times is very unusual or unique. It's not a common occurrence. It is a mistake to say each time we take the bus because there's only one event. You need to have two events. Each time we take the bus, we have the same driver. This is in the simple present tense. Simple present, in the meaning of simple present tense, is that it is a habit or a scientific fact. But we have the same driver is not a scientific fact. We take the bus is a habit. So we cannot use each time in this case. We should say every time, and then it's correct. Every time we take the bus, we have the same driver. Present tense, showing a habit or a scientific fact, and then you're correct. However, if I change the sentence to past tense, each time we took the bus, we had the same driver. This is okay, and the focus is not on the habit of the past, it is on the unique situation for 2 or 3 times only that we took the bus in the past. We had the same driver. Whenever is used for a one-time event that is expected or for a one-time process that is explained. If we compare whenever to every time, let's look at some differences. Whenever does not show a repeating event, but every time does show a repeating event. Okay, can you help me whenever you have an extra 10 minutes? Okay, this is correct. And the meaning is that I don't know when you will have an extra 10 minutes. It's very random, and it's just an opportunity I'm looking for one time. But if I say, can you help me every time you have 10 extra minutes? That is strange because it is not usually a habit to have an extra 10 minutes. If we change it to past tense, it's okay. He helped me whenever he had 10 extra minutes. I'm focusing on maybe one time that this happened, and it happened in a random way. He helped me every time he had 10 minutes. It's correct because it's not a habit. It's just showing that this happened 2 or 3 times. And that is all for every time, each time, all the time, and whenever. So every time you use one of these expressions in a sentence, I hope you use it correctly. Each time you try, watch this video. Remember to study this video all the time. Whenever you have watched this video, your English will improve. Thanks a lot.